He hadn't planned to buy anything. Certainly not real estate. And definitely not a garage that looked like it had been welded together by a drunk insect with tremors. But there it was. Lot 924B, listed on the auction screen as Historical Mechanical Hub. Abandoned, untaxed, structurally functional. Starting bid, 2 credits. No one else raised a finger. Rourke didn't know what was worse, winning the bid or realizing he'd just become the proud owner of a legendary junk pile that every drunk spacer on the station whispered about with a snort and a dare. He wasn't in the market for stories. He was in the market for solitude and maybe a place to crash that didn't charge by the hour. The auctioneer, a wiry little droid with half a voice box, congratulated him without emotion. Transfer confirmed. Property 924B now registered to Human Identifier Rourke, Thomas, formerly Marine Corps, dishonorably discharged. Enjoy your venture. The way it said enjoy sounded like a threat. The place stank of lubricant and disappointment. The entrance flickered open after a few smacks with his elbow, the sensor misreading his biosignature until it finally gave up. Inside, it was chaos. Tools scattered across the floor, a half-dismantled gravity coil, and an AI assistant that greeted him by launching a wrench at his head. Owner unauthorized, it droned in a genderless monotone. Initiating countermeasure, error, database corrupted. Rourke ducked, caught the wrench, and muttered, "Nice to meet you too." It didn't respond. It took him 2 hours and 4 minor electrical shocks to get the core systems online. The AI finally booted fully after he rerouted its cognitive loop through a backup coil jammed under a desk. Its voice returned, glitchy but functional. "Welcome, Proprietor Rourke. This facility hasn't had an authorized user in 218 standard years. Please stand by while I update logs." Rourke leaned against the bench and lit a stim stick. "You've got time. I'm not going anywhere." He began sorting through the place. Not because he had a plan, but because that's what Marines did. Clean the mess before the mess eats you alive. Old tools, outdated servos, parts he couldn't identify. Some were clearly alien, others were human-made, or at least close enough. Then he found the console buried beneath a tarp. It was a repair log terminal. Ancient. Real mechanical switches, no touch sensory interface. That alone made it worth something to collectors. He powered it up. Dust scattered as it hummed to life. It blinked, then displayed a backlog of orders. Thousands of them. Most were routine. Fix a Starcruiser core, replace grav thrusters, recharge biolattices. Boring stuff. He kept scrolling. That's when he saw it. Repair order 00000001 Zeta. Timestamp, year 1,000,000. He stared. Not at the number, but at the field labeled arrival time. It wasn't blank. It said, pending, arrival in progress. The date was nearly 1,000,000 years in the future. He blinked, leaned in, and double-checked. The system wasn't joking. A job order placed from the future. No listed contact. No ship model. Only a coordinate string that didn't map to anything he recognized. The system even noted, repair prepaid, do not cancel. It was probably a joke. A data corruption glitch, maybe a long-forgotten prank. But it didn't feel like one. Something about it scratched the back of his mind. He tapped the screen and requested more details. The terminal refused, citing encryption protocols Rourke had never seen before. He overrode the firewall. The system locked up entirely and rebooted itself. Then it flashed a single message. Begin preparations. The vessel is already en route. He stood there, stim stick burning down to his fingers. What the hell did I just buy? The AI, which hadn't spoken in 10 minutes, chimed in again. Facility's primary function. Temporal service maintenance. Classified level. Red spiral. Directive. Prepare for event arrival. Red spiral, he asked. The AI answered, not in my operational database. Recommend contacting authorized intertemporal council. Nearest rep, extinct. Of course they were. He laughed, the kind of bitter laugh that comes after too many wars and too little rest. Then he turned and started checking the repair bay's inventory. If something was coming, he sure as hell wasn't going to be caught with his pants down. There was a door he hadn't noticed before, hidden behind a heap of polymer cases. When he pried it open, it led to a sealed chamber, heavily shielded. Inside, he found a black cube pulsing faintly, humming in frequencies he felt more than heard. He couldn't move it, not even with a lift-assist exosuit. The AI informed him it was the temporal anchor, a device linked to the incoming object. Its function, unknown. Its purpose, classified. Status, stable. He tried scanning it. His scanner screamed, sparked, and died. The cube remained unbothered. Then came the visitors. A trio of reptilian merchants came sniffing around. Polite, oily smiles. Interested in rare salvage and historical curiosities. One of them tried to slip a tracking bug under the workbench. Rourke broke 3 of his fingers and shoved the other 2 out with a shock prod. He found the bug, smashed it, and started sleeping with one eye open. A week later, a cloaked figure left a note at the bay door. Not yours to open. Walk away. No signature. No name. The handwriting wasn't human or any species he knew. He framed the note and put it above the main console. He started to take it personally. Rourke didn't scare easily. The last time he'd been afraid was on Tiberi's 9, when his entire unit was wiped out by something the brass never admitted existed. But this wasn't fear. It was curiosity mixed with the low thrum of his old instincts warning him that something enormous was creaking under the surface of reality. The garage systems began waking up in sequence. Doors that hadn't opened in centuries began responding to his voice. One night, the AI spoke up on its own. New signal detected. He sat up, groggy. Where? The AI pinged a location on the star map. A void. Uncharted. Lightless. What's there? He asked. Nothing. Yet. But the signal is inbound. The repair order updated itself. A new field appeared. ETA 33 days. He stared at the screen. Time was moving. He spent the next days doing what he did best, prepping for war. Not because he expected one, but because humans don't wait to get hit. They build the wall first. He reinforced the garage's outer shielding, upgraded the internal auto turrets, and found a weapons cache the AI hadn't mentioned. Human-made. Mil-spec. Plasma carbines, micromissiles, even a prototype grav grenade labeled, "Do not use." He set up tripwires, rerouted the fusion core, and beneath it all, he kept staring at that arrival date ticking down like a bad dream edging closer to dawn. Then the green-skinned ones came. Small, fast, unnerving. They didn't knock. Just stormed in through a wall they vaporized with some kind of pulse cannon. 4 of them. Rourke put down 3 before the last one fled, shrieking in a language that melted audio sensors. They hadn't been after him. They were after the cube. He reviewed security footage. They moved like they knew the layout. Like they'd been here before. He contacted local authorities. They never arrived. Messages vanished from the comm grid. Someone had eyes on him. Someone wanted the cube silenced. The distortion field bloomed out from the black cube like ripples from a stone dropped into still water. It didn't pulse in light or sound but in pressure, in weight that pressed behind the eyes and under the skin. Systems in the garage shut down one by one. The AI flickered. Gravity shifted slightly to the left. The countdown hit 0. Then went negative. Something was here. No ship arrived. No door opened. Nothing crossed into local space. Yet something had changed. The repair terminal listed the order as in progress. A new diagnostic screen opened. Instructions began to scroll. Tools that had never responded now hummed to life. The garage lit up in sections, machines unfolding from walls as if remembering their purpose. Rourke watched in silence. It was happening without him touching a thing. But as the process advanced, he noticed the AI's voice growing unstable. It looped words. mispronounced syllables, then began stuttering a phrase over and over, "They are not ready." He tried overriding it, but the AI locked him out. Then came the surge. Power flared through the garage's primary grid. A beam of pure data erupted from the cube into the station's comm relay. He hadn't authorized a transmission. By the time he severed the uplink, the damage was done. The beacon had sent a signal, a ping across space. Within hours, they arrived. A spiral-arm freighter dropped out of warp above the station. Markings matched a private archaeo-trade guild, known for poaching ancient tech. They claimed to be inspectors. Diplomatic. Curious. They brought scanners and scientists. One stepped into the garage and collapsed instantly, eyes wide, blood vessels ruptured. The others withdrew. The next arrival wasn't diplomatic. A heavy-class cruiser from the Ziran collectors anchored itself to the outer ring of the station. Their envoy didn't request entry. He demanded it. The Ziran wore ritual armor and moved with the arrogance of someone certain no one would oppose him. He spoke in ancient dialects, making veiled threats wrapped in ceremony. Rourke shut the door in his face. The next attempt came cloaked. A drone tried to breach the ventilation. Rourke tracked it, caught it, and rewired it to explode in the direction it came from. The garage became a point of interest, then a point of contention, finally a point of fear. The Council's envoys arrived 3 days later. They weren't impressed by the ex-Marine or his human stubbornness. They tried to seize the cube under pretext of public risk mitigation. Rourke cited station law, then human charter, then the part where he pointed a cannon at their shuttle and told them to file a complaint through proper channels. The garage became a war zone in waiting. He spent his days between updates to the repair terminal and deterring visitors. Some came with bribes, some with death squads. None got what they wanted. Every time the cube shifted colors or emitted a tone, the AI warned, "Approach restricted." The cube's readings became more complex, the instructions more intricate. He built devices without knowing what they did. The blueprints were impossible, circuits that folded in extra-dimensional space, materials that behaved like fluid and crystal simultaneously. But his hands moved with certainty, as if he'd done this before, or would. Time didn't follow normal rules anymore. One morning, the gravity in the garage reversed for 4 minutes. The next, the walls flickered to show stars no telescope could match. He saw constellations unfamiliar to every known map. The AI declared the reality boundary was degrading. The Council sent a specialist, human this time. She claimed to represent Earth's Interstellar Tech Oversight Committee. Her tone was clipped, bureaucratic. She handed him a data slate outlining his violations. He offered her coffee. She declined. He told her he was busy. She told him this wasn't optional. Then she saw the cube. It hummed once. She dropped to her knees and vomited. Her eyes rolled back. He had to carry her out. When she regained consciousness, she refused to speak. She left on the next shuttle. 2 nights later, someone poisoned the oxygen recirculator. He fixed it. Then 2 rival factions tried breaching from above and below. The upper wall detonated. The lower floor vaporized half a meter deep. Rourke activated the failsafe. Electromagnetic pulses fried the attackers' weapons. He disabled them all, bound their limbs with wiring, and left them outside for station security. They were gone by morning. Rourke didn't sleep anymore. The garage was alive, breathing, responding. Each diagnostic he completed unlocked another layer of blueprints, another pattern of behavior. And now, the repair terminal showed progress bars ticking upward. One simply read, "Temporal stabilization, 38%. Another read, "Anchoring vessel timeline, 12%. Then came the message. It wasn't sent via audio. It just appeared on every screen, printed in every language, on every panel, even scratched into the dust. A single sentence. "We are nearly here. Maintain integrity." No source. No confirmation. The AI refused to acknowledge it even existed. Word spread. The garage was now being called the nexus of becoming by the more religious factions. Others called it the death hatch. Rumors said it contained a god, or a weapon, or a sealed civilization. Everyone agreed on one thing: it was human territory. And that terrified them. A group of radical scholars from the outer belts launched a theological claim. They attempted a siege. 20 of them in converted mining suits with fusion drills. Rourke released the anti-personnel mist. Non-lethal. Hallucinogenic. They screamed about being eaten by time and fled half-naked into the lower sectors. Then the chronal incident happened. A technician working a few bays down walked past the garage. His watch aged 300 years in 3 seconds. His hair turned white. His blood clotted. He died before he hit the floor. Rourke reviewed the security feed. The man had brushed the edge of the field emitted by the cube. The AI analyzed the footage. It concluded the cube was not projecting time. It was leaking it. A future object bleeding its own context into the present. The garage had become a fixed point, and time itself was warping to allow the vessel's arrival. Every second that passed drew the past closer to the future's impact. Rourke locked the doors permanently. Then the emissary arrived. No ship, no arrival signature. It simply appeared outside the entrance. 10 feet tall, semi-transparent, composed of shifting crystal and shadow. It had no face, no mouth, but it spoke in flawless English. The repair is critical. You are chosen. Rourke didn't respond. You are Rourke, son of no legacy, keeper of the echo. Your hands have touched the loop. You have already done this. You must again. The being introduced itself as a remnant of the Chrono Accord, a civilization that once governed time compliance across dimensions. It stated that the ship en route had failed a repair in its own future and had routed backward to a known node, this garage. The consequences of failure were not described, only implied. It left without further dialogue. Just vanished. The repair terminal now displayed a new alert. Phase 2 initiated. Complete core calibration. Rourke worked without rest. The machines guided him. The materials obeyed. He constructed conduits of unknown metal, installed resonance spikes that thrummed with future physics. Each step took him deeper into knowledge he didn't have, but understood. The moment Briggs decoded the final instruction embedded within the garage's master terminal, the entire building vibrated subtly, as though exhaling for the first time in 1,000 years. Beneath the floor, dormant machinery reawakened, ancient servos whining back to life. The air thickened, charged with a weighty silence, before a voice, neither synthetic nor organic, spoke a single word: proceed. Briggs didn't hesitate. After weeks of decoding alien blueprints, repairing partially sentient machinery, and dodging both bureaucratic and bounty-hunting interest, he understood one thing clearly: the garage was not a garage. It was a vault. Not one of riches, but of responsibilities. The moment he had accepted the repair order dated next millennium, he'd inherited a task meant for an entity far more prepared than any single human. But humanity had a way of outperforming expectations, especially when no one else volunteered. The last door opened. Behind it, encased in a crystallized stasis cocoon, was the real reason the station had been abandoned yet monitored. A ship, but unlike any in the registry. Organic metallic, vaguely mantis-shaped, its design alien even to Briggs's now augmented comprehension. It shimmered between dimensions, its form never quite settled in a single plane of reality. The stasis field was failing, leaking bursts of pre-time energy that warped sound, light, and memory. The final order was logged as "Awaken and Deliver." It was unsigned, but the metadata proved it originated from the First Interstellar Council, the one supposedly lost during the temporal collapse, which, as Briggs now understood, hadn't collapsed so much as been deferred. He activated the override. The garage shuddered, and the cocoon cracked with an eerie musical resonance. Time stuttered. Memories not his own bled into his thoughts. Millennia of forgotten wars, peace treaties brokered in binary, and stars ignited not by fusion but by diplomacy. The ship's consciousness, a being called Ithis, reached out. "You are late, but not too late." Briggs had questions, but instinctively knew answers wouldn't help. Ithis had been waiting for a pilot who could pass the garage's trials, not technical tests but moral ones. The garage had been a crucible to forge will, empathy, and initiative, all things the previous chosen species had long abandoned. Ithis asked if he accepted the role of deliverer. Not a courier, not a warrior, but a catalyst, someone who would bring Ithis to a place lost to time, where its presence would restart an ancient plan. Briggs agreed, mostly because he was tired of pretending humanity was still junior in the galactic food chain. If the universe needed a jumpstart, then who better than someone who used to fix tanks with duct tape and obscenities? As Ithis unfurled its wings, yes, they were wings, the garage collapsed inward, its purpose fulfilled. Energy arced through Briggs's cybernetic implants, but instead of pain, it felt like clarity. His vision sharpened. His muscles tightened. Time folded. They launched. The jump was not through space, but through legacy. They landed not on a planet but in a city that was both ancient and unborn. The council hall of the next millennium stood in pristine ruins, surrounded by 1,000 statues of extinct species, each with hands extended toward the center where a dais waited. Ithis docked in silence. Briggs dismounted, and for the first time, gravity obeyed him. His boots touched the ground with the solemnity of a soldier at a funeral, and a coronation all at once. He inserted the garage's master key, a device no bigger than a dog tag, into the dais. The statues lit one by one. Species long thought dead spoke again through memory nodes. A quorum was achieved. Not in the old way, through bodies, but through truths left behind. Briggs, as deliverer, stood as proxy. Humanity, in that moment, was no longer a bystander in galactic history. They were the shepherds of its next chapter. A projection formed in the sky above the city, a map of the galaxy, scattered with red marks. Each was a region of collapse, corruption, or cataclysm. All logged by the garage, by the machines Briggs had thought were just junk. All waiting for intervention. Ithis spoke again. It would guide, but not command. Briggs was its first pilot, but not its master. Their union was symbiotic, not hierarchical. Humanity, it believed, was uniquely suited to bridge the ancient and the new. Not because of superior tech, but because of emotional resilience, grit, rage, compassion, humor. Briggs uploaded Earth's current political data, military capabilities, and cultural exports. The Council's remnants reviewed it in microseconds. Verdict: humanity was volatile but fertile, dangerous but directional, unpredictable but necessary. He returned to Ithis. They launched again, this time toward the first of the red zones. A system consumed by temporal parasites, entities that fed on possible futures. Briggs had never fought abstract predators before, but he'd survived worse odds in meatspace. With Ithis, he could do more than shoot. He could unmake entropy, restore memories, rewrite ruins. It was not power. It was permission. The first battle was silent. The parasites weren't beings, but distortions, glitches in causality. Briggs learned quickly to see them by ignoring what felt normal. He attacked with willpower, focus, and an unshakable sense of irony. That last one seemed to hurt them most. They won. The system stabilized. Life resumed. But more importantly, a signal was sent. Humanity was on the move. Galactic factions, pirate clans, bureaucratic remnants, uplifted AI dynasties, took notice. Some ran. Some prepared defenses. A few approached in peace, bearing tribute, curiosity, or desperate requests. Briggs became less a man and more a myth. The garage pilot, they called him. The one who fixed tomorrow. It wasn't accurate. He just kept moving forward. Word spread back to Earth. The Council tried to recall him, but he was already beyond recall. The UN Space Command offered a medal. He sent it back with a repair quote. His old unit named a dropship after him. He appreciated that. Years passed. Then decades. Briggs aged, but Ithis slowed the process. Not immortality, but purpose-stretched longevity. Long enough to see real change. Planets stopped arming for extinction and started competing in art again. Memory wars. Conflicts over who remembered history most correctly were replaced with collective recording protocols. Death cults converted to life cults. One even asked for a human ambassador. Briggs never stopped fixing things. Ships, hearts, timelines, logic loops, old galactic laws. Wherever the trail of the garage led, he followed. One day, he found another garage. Smaller. Newer. Human-made, but in Ithis shape. Inside, a mechanic, not a soldier, was tinkering with a broken drone. She looked up, startled, but relaxed when she saw him. She asked if he needed repairs. Briggs said no, but pointed to a dusty corner. There sat an old coffee machine. Busted. Familiar. He asked for a cup. She grinned. Fixed it in 2 minutes. He nodded, sipping. She had what it took. He left the garage key behind on the counter. The legacy didn't end. It just upgraded. And far away, in a zone untouched by repair or memory, something stirred. Watching. Calculating. Waiting for its own millennium. But this time, humanity wasn't behind. They were ahead.